Hello my beautiful readers, it is so great to see you again. You have no idea how excited I am for this video. I'm finally going to be reading the books that I let my name choose from my TBR. I actually got this video idea from Sarah Caroli and Bria. This is a brilliant idea and I had to tag along. Of course my name is Jaylene, but I decided to use the first 3 letters of my name and my nickname Jay. And here are the 3 books that I decided to pick. Just the Nicest Couple by Mary Kubica, A Star is Born by Byron Lane, and Yerba Buena by Nina LaCour. Now I have already started this book. It's been a couple days since I last filmed my previous video, so I couldn't help myself but to begin reading. I'm already about 50-ish% into this book and I'm a little frustrated, I can't even lie. It is because this is a alternating point of view book and you follow along the story of a man named Jake who has gone missing one day and his wife Nina is in search of him. Now Nina has a best friend named Lily and her husband is also helping Lily kind of cover up what is happening with Jake because Lily is the last person to have seen him alive, if that made sense. That's not a spoiler, it's already in the synopsis, but you basically follow along the story and the domino effect of that last encounter that Lily had with Nina's husband. I say this book is frustrating because as the reader, when you're in your own point of view reading this book, we already know what sort of has happened. But Nina, the wife of Jake, she's kind of out of the loop versus Christian and Lily who know what happened, the incident that happened. I can't say too much without spoiling it, but just know I'm already a little on the edge of my seat. This book is already giving me anxiety. It's the kind of anxiety where you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach where it's very uneasy and unsettling and it kind of makes you sick to your stomach. But I can't stop reading it nor put this book down because I want to know what happened to Jake, where he is, and if this man is even still alive. I'm not going to keep you too much longer because I want to keep reading this book. Oh, I forgot. And before I start reading, please make sure you're subscribed. It helps me out a lot. Thank you. I just need to talk my shit real quick because Christian and Lily are really starting to piss me off and they are the shadiest couple that I've ever read so far in a book. That is because Lily, Christian's wife, has something to do with Jake's disappearance, hence why she was the last person to see him alive. Now, I know that Christian is trying to be a good husband and help his wife out so that she does not get in trouble with the police, but the things that Christian is doing to keep his wife safe are so against the law and against the rules. And it's only a matter of time before the lies and the cheating and the stealing catches up to Lily and Christian. I genuinely feel bad for Nina because this poor woman is just, her head is just in the clouds. She has no idea where Jake is. But now that the police are starting to point the finger at Nina because of the lies that Christian and Lily have pinned on Nina, she's starting to put the pieces together and she's trying to solve this whole disappearance on her own since the police really don't have an idea of where Jake is yet. At the point I'm in now in the book, they have found a body at Langley Woods. That is the forest preserve that Lily last saw Jake. To be honest, I really don't think the body is Jake's. I think it's someone else's body from in the town. It might be Jake's, it might not be, but this is not the first time a body has gone missing in that forest preserve, so I don't know whose body it is yet. I'm about 75% into the book and I'm really trying to put the puzzle pieces together. You know, like the red strings that the detectives use to solve crimes, like that's what's going on in my head right now. I'm really trying to string all these details together, but nothing's really clicking yet. I don't know, child, this book's starting to creep me out, but I'm almost done with it. Good morning, beautiful readers. I was able to finish the rest of this book on audiobook last night when I was with my family in Zephyr Hills. We went to a Zephyr Hills like summer festival. It was really nice. It was a really pretty lake that surrounded the festival. And we enjoyed some fireworks, which was really nice. But on the way to and from, I was able to listen to the last 2.5, 3 hours of this book, and I ended up reading this about 3.5 stars. And here is why. I knew the first plot twist that was going to happen, that revolved around Lily and Christian, mainly around Lily. So I saw that coming because it was the buildup and the anticipation throughout the entire book. But what I did and did not see coming was the second plot twist that happened within the last 5% of the book. And it was someone very close to Nina. And I I was a little bit baffled, I can't even lie, because this person that was very close to Nina, the way they were able to be very deceptive to someone very, very close to them is a bit disheartening and a little vile as a human being. Just because that they didn't like this person does not mean that they should have done what they did. Because this revelation really did hit home for Nina. It was very close to her heart, and she was very upset about what happened to her husband and who did what to her husband. I will say the pacing for this book to me was a bit slow to medium pace. If it weren't for the dual point of view, the alternating perspectives of Nina and Christian, I probably would have taken much longer to finish this book, and who knows if I would have finished it in the first place. I might have DNF'd it, but I'm glad it was written in the perspective and the POV that it was, because it was very interesting to see the two point of views of these characters, mainly all the characters involved, but seeing the alternating point of views and the thought process of Christian and Nina and Lily, it was really interesting to see. I definitely want to read more from this author. I do need to read Local Woman Missing. I know that's one of her very popular books, so later on I'll eventually read this. I don't know when, so I'm not going to put a timeline on it. All right, done with this one. Let's move on. Child, I had no idea I was going to enjoy this book as much as I am right now. I'm 37% into it, and this main character, Charlie and Kathy, their dynamic duo is such an odd pairing, but it's so funny to read about. For the real life author Byron Lane, this book is inspired by his real life job as an assistant to Carrie Fisher. Although in the beginning of the book, he does say that this book is a work of fiction, so the names and places of people in the book are all fictionalized, but you can definitely see the parallels to his real job with Carrie Fisher. The tones are definitely a bit dark. It is dark humor, and there are talks of suicide. And you can tell that Charlie is very lonely in the life that he's living right now, because before getting his assistant job with Kathy Cannon, he is working as a journalist in the graveyard shift at a news anchor facility place. He absolutely hates that job. He says all the time that he's so miserable and that he just wants to off himself. So the fact that he got this job as an assistant to Kathy Cannon is his God-sent job, because he has been obsessed with her since he was a little boy. And he does touch on his childhood life being a gay little boy at the time that he knew, and his father absolutely hating the fact that he was gay. He's pretty much a homophobe, and there's one time that his dad caught him dressing in his late mother's clothes, and the dad absolutely just humiliated his son, which is really hurtful to him, obviously, at the time. And now that he's a grown adult, it's definitely manifested into the person that he is now. And don't even let me get started on Kathy, because that woman is a manic hot mess. But you definitely see into the life of how Hollywood is definitely, but you definitely see into the life of the true Hollywood and how it's so self-absorbed, and it sucks the soul and the good energy out of people. So not everything in Hollywood is glitz and glamour. That's all I gotta say, because Kathy is a hot fucking mess. I've officially finished this book, and I'm going to give it a solid 4 stars. Side note, if you hear Miss Rachel in the background, my son's watching Miss Rachel right now, and he's content, so it is what it is. So I went into this book expecting a funny Hollywood story. Of course, there's going to be glitz and glamour with celebrities and famous people, but I did not expect the deep topics that were discussed beneath all the humor. Charlie, of course, is a main character, and he's thrown into this world with private jets, glitz, glamour, all of the fame, but what was held deep inside was that he was lost. This book definitely was able to demonstrate how you can be within the limelight with a celebrity boss and still feel so lonely inside. And it was honestly a little bit heartbreaking. Another thing that I love so much is how relatable Charlie is in this book, even though his job is over the top and his life is one that he was wanting ever since he was a little boy. The way he's so desperate and yearns for purpose and how he second guesses himself is very real and raw. And he's doing all of this while traveling with his celebrity boss. If you're into books like this, I would definitely give this a read. I also listened to this on audiobook on Hoopla, and it was an amazing experience. Last but not least, let's finally move on to Yerba Buena. I'm so excited for this book. I think this is my first sapphic romance of the year. Honestly, I haven't read any sapphic romances. I wish I'd read this in time for Pride Month in June, but it had just passed. But let's get started. I genuinely could not imagine what it would feel like to lose someone that you love so dearly, especially someone in an intimate way. Like, oh my god, these girls are only 16 years old right now. This is kind of like a flashback to Sarah's past, and she was in love with this girl named Annie. And they happened to find Annie missing one day, and they were searching the river, and they pulled Annie's body out of the river. And this is just such a sad start to this book. I did not expect this at all. I cannot believe I'm already 50% through with this book already. I've only been listening to the audiobook for, I don't know, 2 hours, and I'm already 50% done. And that's how much I am so invested into this book because it's so good already. The thing that I'm most invested in right now is the emotional development of the characters, because Sarah and Emily, they have two very vastly different lives that they've grown up in. Sarah, on the one hand, she grew up in a life where she had to hide her love for a girl that she yearned for when she was 14 to 16 years old. And when that girl passed away, she ran away from home. So from the age of 16 to about 22, I want to say she is right now, current day, she had to fend for herself, pretty much come up from the mud and make it on her own. So she's still dealing with a lot of troubles and trials and tribulations, and she's hiding so much of her true self in the character that she is trying to build and the persona that she's perceived to other people. On the other hand, there's Emily, who has struggles of her own but in a very different way. To me, Emily feels like she's being pulled into two totally different worlds. For instance, she is screwing somebody's husband, so I can see why she's living a double life. And I can tell that she is yearning for a place of stability and solitude, whether that's in herself or yearning for someone else. So at this point right now, finally, Sarah and Emily, oh my gosh, Drago, give that back to me. Sarah and Emily are talking in the restaurant because Sarah is a bartender at Yerba Buena, which is a very fancy restaurant in the Los Angeles area. And Emily is there. Don't slam the cabinets. And Emily is there dining in at the restaurant because that place is very near and dear to her, because the husband that she is screwing, he works at this restaurant. So now we're finally going to get into the banter and the yearning and the lust that Sarah and Emily have. So I'm going to keep reading because I cannot stop, and I'll give you guys an update later. I absolutely demolished this book last night when I was listening to it on audiobook, and I am still in distraught. One thing that I did found fascinating was the use of the Yerba Buena plant between Sarah and Emily. This is a delicate herb that is known for its healing properties, and ironically, that is what Sarah and Emily needed so desperately in their life. Of course, they are still seeking healing, but it is so obvious that they're trying to set roots somewhere safe, but you can still see the pain that is still seeping into the relationship. Their romance is so compelling, but it is so blatantly obvious that it is a toxic cycle. They keep getting drawn back to each other even though that they know that they are emotionally unavailable. They have some chaotic things going on in their life, but they can't be drawn away from each other. And by no means does this book get wrapped into a pretty little bow. And I love how Nina LaCour does not romanticize the trauma and the hurt that Sarah and Emily go through, because that's just not how love is sometimes. Love can be ugly, it can be toxic in some ways, and these two women definitely have trauma bonded together. I say all of that to say I gave this book a solid 4 stars. I am so proud that I completed this challenge. I am very proud of myself and happy, and I feel accomplished because I have not read this amount of books in such a short amount of time, even with the help of audiobooks, which I highly enjoy and recommend everyone listen to audiobooks. And I'm also glad that I picked up such a wide variety of books because of course I love reading thrillers. That's my, cup of tea. But A Star is Bored is something that I don't think I ever would have picked up if I was just browsing the shelves. And if this were not for this challenge, I wouldn't have even looked at this book for a second. And Yerba Buena, I probably wouldn't have picked this up either. It really didn't catch my eye. The only reason it caught my eye is because the book started with a Y. If you were to try this challenge yourself, let me know the books that you would pick from your name. If you have made it this far into my video, thank you so much for staying to watch. I really appreciate you being here. With that being said, don't forget to like, share, comment, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.